Hello, you hottie hot hotties. Welcome to Wild&T with Tara.
Tony.
Hetty.
And Tawny.
It is currently fall, start of school, and since with fall and the start of school comes football, and football is getting back into the swing, and I just think it would be a funny subject to talk about because I feel like we all have an interesting and somewhat complicated relationship with football on some levels. I feel like I have an extreme love-hate relationship with football, and it starts from the day of my birth. So,
It all started when.
Tony has the classic, dad's like, the game's almost over. We're almost to halftime. Just hold the baby in.
Exactly. Mom always that's one of her favorite stories about when I was born, about how the doctor and our dad were distracted by the football game on TV while she's in the middle of labor.
Oh my gosh. No. Yeah, dad's never been more of like a basic man than in that moment.
Yep, and then in that moment, in the middle of a 49ers game, because I was born on a Monday night football. So it all started there, and then it continued from when our brothers got older and were doing sports and everything. And our parents used to go all the time to our brother's games when he was in middle school and high school. And so it was a lot of time of we spent a lot of time knowing that football took up a lot of time or having to ride with our parents to go pick him up from practice. And he would get into the car and be all gross and sweaty after his his football practice.
Well,
And
and we'd
so
always be waiting at least 30 minutes from the time he told our mom
oh yeah.
to pick him
Oh
up
yeah.
till the time he actually came out of the locker room. And we're like, kill us now. We're hungry.
Yes. And it was always like dark outside and we're like, why can't we just go home? And so I just remember kind of hating football a lot when I was younger because we spent so much time like having to wait and then having to go to games and they were super long and boring and then when mom and dad stopped taking us to games, then they were just gone for hours every single week. And but it wasn't until I discovered college football when they took us to some BYU games, and then I fell in love with football because college football is the ultimate experience in my mind of like the fans and the adrenaline and like what sports are about.
I mean, a good live game like is usually worthwhile, I would say, especially college or a live game. Being there in the stands gets you into the energy of everybody else. I think honestly, I tried to appreciate football during college and I got to like so close. And then I was like, I can't. Nah, never mind. This isn't what I'm about.
I've even dated a football player.
And I struggled, still struggled with it. Still struggle to, like, I appreciate it and I have respect for the industry, but it's so hard for me to actually enjoy it.
I like football. Like, I'm not a diehard fan or anything, but I do like football. I grew up, you know, cheering as a little petty cheerleader. Um, and I super enjoyed it. At one point, my aspiration was to be a coyote cheerleader for Monera High, and that never happened. But like, it's okay.
For multiple reasons.
Besides the fact that you went to a different school.
That the school changed before you got there.
And I decided to stop cheering in junior high. But I always really enjoyed watching it live. It was fun. I did like powder puff, the girls flag football, my senior year of high school, and yeah, I enjoyed that. I don't know. I thought it was fun. It was more of like a social experience than like me actually wanting to go because I cared. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything super against football, but I might not like it as much if I was married to someone who was like super into football. And Malachi, he does watch football. He has like his team, the Saints.
Is there a reason for that?
I wish you didn't ask me that because yes, there is. But I don't know what that is. I think it's like he likes. Oh, it was one of the players that he really liked.
Okay. Okay.
Whose
That's fair.
name is recognizable, but I couldn't. It's not Travis Kelsey.
Did Taylor Swift put this guy on the map too?
But yeah. So I don't know. I don't hate football. I've always enjoyed it. And Tony, just so you know, the 49ers won 41-3 that day. And that could have been the start
Wow.
of your legacy
They smashed
as a
them.
football fan.
I was good luck for that day.
So for me, I have a very distinct memory of this one picture from when I'm like 4 years old and the football's the size of me and I'm holding it. My arms just wrapped around it. From one of those days that as a family we went out to the back and just like threw it around, and me being 4, it has to get the pity run because I'm 4. There's no way I'm catching that ball. And so I remember that. And then growing up, I too was a little cheerleader. And then as a senior in high school, I also cheered. But you know what? It was still really boring to me then. And I was a terrible cheerleader because I just did not enjoy watching the games, but I would watch them more than I would cheer. And so half the time I wasn't even paying attention to the cheers because I'm watching the games. But our team was terrible. And I didn't even know the touchdown dance because we got like maybe 3 the entire time.
Sad.
See, I do have a husband though who's very into football. He's a Georgia boy, so he's a Falcons fan, but Falcons are not great. So he is a Georgia Bulldogs fan because Georgia Bulldogs are fantastic, okay? So he's very much through and through Georgia boy. So what I do like about that is if I just need some time alone, then I'm like, hey, is there a game on? You should go watch it. And then I can read or take a nap or watch my
Nice
show.
little distractor.
Like a few hours there where I can do my own thing. So that's what I like about football.
I do that, but with rugby, I'm like, oh, isn't someone playing? You should put
I
it
mean,
on.
I'll be honest, our history with it, growing up with it, it's at the point where if I hear a football game going on a TV, I get an automatic headache. I honestly have to take medicine or turn it off because
I have
it
to
just
go take to
hurts
the bed.
my brain. Yeah, literally. I become overwhelmed with like a sudden tiredness. Yeah,
Your
no,
nerves.
it's hard.
Nobody knows what you suffer.
You don't know what I suffer.
And I feel like I'm allowed to. I've played a supportive enough role in the football section with my family and my brothers. My parents literally paid me my brother's senior year to babysit every Friday night for that whole football season so that they could go support my brother and go to every single one of his games of his senior year. So I stand by my right to feel how I feel.
I'm a little offended at that because we all did sports. We all actively did sports, and I can tell you that mom and dad did not come to every single one of my meets or games my senior year, let alone the rest.
We're not
of
even
them.
going to get
My
that
senior night.
started for sure.
I have just a little bit of hostility towards football, and that's probably why.
Well, Daniel did go on to play for college, so they were supporting his future and his dreams. And let's be honest, the rest of us didn't use sports to get into school, so that was a fair accommodation.
I could have.
In a way.
If they had
That
supported
is
it, I
true.
could have. Who knows? Maybe if mom and dad had gone to all of my gymnastics meets, I would have been a gymnast in college. Who knows?
True, maybe because they didn't, you didn't become a gymnast. No, there's no way I was going to become a college water polo player. I was terrified of that. It wasn't going to happen.
And I think that's a good point because we all did sports in high school. And so football definitely wasn't the center of our universe, even though in a lot of ways it seemed like it was sometimes. But we all
Yeah.
did sports, and we all did a variety of sports, which I think is kind of cool. So I'd like to like give just like a little synopsis of the sports that we did do, because I know growing up we did gymnastics. Then mom and dad put Tara and I together into like the city swim team club
Yeah.
thing.
So I started off doing ballet and or dance and tumbling. And then I was like, those gymnast girls are cool. So I went full-time gymnastics, and then ended up doing softball, which I hated only
That's
for 1
right.
year.
The Poppy
And
Talk, yep,
then
it was so boring.
yeah, and I did volleyball at like the elementary school, and then I went on. Then that's when I got put into swimming with Tony. And then into high school, I did swimming and water polo.
Yep, and swimming was my jam. Swimming is my favorite thing to do. That is like my favorite thing to just relax. But I hate competition swimming. I absolutely despise it. And I went from swimming on the city team to when I was in high school, I joined the swim team in high school. And I quit after my first year of high school because I was also doing water polo. And I was like, water polo was my love. I could not stand swimming back and forth across the pool over and over again just to be fast.
After water polo, it was so hard to do swimming. You
was
only did swimming to stay in
boring.
shape for water polo, but the like swimming competitions sucked after playing water polo for
Yeah.
sure.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
Tony was on co-ed, which was
Yeah,
crazy.
and
He had
I
co-ed
played
water polo.
co-ed water polo because it was a brand new high school and they didn't have a like fully fledged water polo program yet. So our first year of playing water polo, our first 2 years of playing water polo was a mixed men and women's team. And that was a really interesting experience because we actually played a lot of men's team, like not men's, but like boys teams. And it was
Not
rough.
men's, boys.
Yeah, they were boys.
This is high
This
school.
was high school.
Tony's like, I was up close and personal with them in Speedos. They were boys.
The way they
Oh,
acted
man.
on deck, they definitely were boys.
Once it got too cold.
But I did also do softball in between my water polo season, so I kept busy otherwise. But
I did swim with you for the city. What we were like the Sharks or something. And that's when I met Ish. And I did it for like a week. And I quit. Ish was great. He was great.
I forgot about Ish. He was really cool.
Yeah.
And he reminds me of the Tresemme thing all the time. Because, remember he had such good hair. And one of my friends asked him, they're like, what do you do for your hair? And he's like, Tresemme. And Teddy loves to remind me of that story. It's funny.
I guess it was funny because I knew Ish and he laughed at me one time when he told us that doing the butterfly, we have to start off by like going underwater, and he's like, it's like doing the worm underwater. So I was like this, and I went underwater and I just started thrashing around. Came back up and he was like, no.
Not even a good effort, just no.
And he's like, that's a drowning worm, not the dance worm.
I quickly found out that I love swimming and I did not love being told what to do while I was swimming. So.
Yep.
But my jam was basketball since I was in first or second grade. I don't remember. I was in Little Coyotes and then Little Stallions, and Tawny came and played with me, and she didn't really play. She just played around.
Well, no, it was way more fun to run across those wood floors and slide on the knees of your sweats, okay?
It drove me crazy.
Running back and forth. I'm just
And that's why Tawny ended up in gymnastics.
I did basketball, and then I don't know. Again, I don't know why I didn't get put in gymnastics like everyone else, but I did.
Though.
I did get put in dance, and I hated it because all of the girls knew each other and I didn't like make any friends. And mom had just bought me all of like the shoes, and she got me like a cute water bottle, and I didn't know how to break it to her that I didn't want to go.
No.
I didn't want to go anymore. And then I got like just blessings from heaven because my friends were like, "We're doing cheerleading," and then mom was like, she comes up to me and she goes, "You can only choose one, either cheerleading or dance." And I was like, "I'll do cheerleading." So that worked out handsomely. And then I played volleyball a little bit in elementary school. Did not make the team in junior high. Hated driving the bus or riding the bus back home after school. So I tried out for tennis. And so that I wouldn't have to ride the bus home after school.
Oh my gosh.
And found my love of tennis.
And a best friend coach.
Oh my gosh. Can we say that probably sports, the majority of the reason why we stayed in sports through high school was, one, to avoid the bus, two, to have something to feel like our entire school day was worthwhile
To get us out of class.
Yeah.
Because I hated school, and sports is what kept me in school because you have to keep grades in order to do sports. And absolutely not having to ride the bus was the biggest perk, and getting out of class early to go to games.
Yeah. We were diehards, as you can tell. We really cared about competition in sports.
And instead we just really well-rounded.
Yeah.
So
We're like,
for
we'll
me
try anything to get out of
personally-
school. Great. Okay, great.
Yep.
Whereas the
also
reality
started-
was we just hated public transportation and school is super boring.
Yep.
That's true. So I also started cheerleading, Teddy, when you started cheerleading. But then I remember standing in the kitchen. Mom had that calendar on the door, right? Standing in the kitchen, mom circling this date on the calendar, going, "Tawny, this is the day you're gonna start gymnastics. I know you're so excited. I know you can't wait." And this is my very first memory of gymnastics in general. And I remember being so excited, but then I was like, why am I so excited? I don't remember ever wanting to be in gymnastics beforehand. But apparently I did. I don't know why this memory is here, but I pretty much grew up in the gym because Daniel was a gymnast. And so mom would take me when I was a baby to his, practices and meets and whatnot. And she also kind of worked at that gym. So there's videos of me when I was a baby there. So I guess I kind of grew up there. And so finally, when I was about 8 is when I got to start gymnastics, and I quickly moved into competitive gymnastics. But then I think when I was 5th or 6th grade, I just did tumbling at that point. But my goodness, I was a ripped little kid, okay? I could do 3 sets of 25 push-ups with my chest touching the ground at the beginning and end of practice. I couldn't do that now, all right? I could do pull-ups like nobody's business, but I'm also, obviously not that same tiny person weight. But that is my goal, to get back to that. But yeah, so I did gymnastics pretty much my entire life.
Thighs and calves were always the most
Thick and muscled.
muscled, toned situation ever. But I was actually really excited when you did get back into competition in high school, because that's really hard to take a break and then get back into any sport, really, but really specifically gymnastics too. So that was impressive.
Well, I was lucky because, I did tumbling at that point. I really only took maybe a couple months break, and it was from competitive to tumbling, but I was still in the gym regularly, and I knew the coaches, so they would let me work out with the team gymnast if I wanted to, which was really nice. But I also started competitive again for the school in middle school, which again was super lucky. Obviously, not a lot of schools have that opportunity, but the gymnastics coaches there at the school were also same coaches for the gym, so we would be able to do it interchangeably, which was really nice. So I got to do that the rest of my time in high school and middle school. But aside from that, I also did basketball, if you want to consider that. I did do volleyball in 6th grade, and then also my 7th grade, and then 8th grade I did tennis, And then in high school, I just did gymnastics, and then I got into diving because my gymnastics coach was the diving coach, and she pushed me into it. And I was a pretty good diver, but it's terrifying. Okay, let me tell you, I have so many horror stories from like face planting in the water. That hurts so bad with your eyes open. Does not feel great.
Oh yeah, Tony and I were swimmers. We were doing our laps while side eyeing those divers and being like, ooh,
Oh, like
we're
I
not
would
doing
never.
that.
I would never.
We'll stick to
Terrifying.
swimming. We'll stick to swimming.
Well, and what was awful was I think my senior year they started to make us swim with the swimmers during the competitions because they didn't have enough people. But luckily, I didn't do it because I also was a cheerleader, so I had a lot of my time spread between teaching gymnastics because I was a gymnastics coach, gymnastics itself, diving and cheer and drama. So it just like luckily I didn't have to swim ever, which was really nice. But that was
The guide to
also my
surviving high school when you're not part of like the super busy academic class or like people. I think doing sports was really important. We always enjoyed it. We always liked the physicality of it. And, you know,
The
you create
competitive.
friendships. Yeah. The competitive between siblings, I think, even if it was like different sports to compare it to, we were still like competitive against each other, like a healthy competitiveness, nothing crazy. Um, and I think I am glad that I did the sports that I did and that we had the opportunities that we had, that our parents were so open. Because that's all of us doing all these sports at the same time at these ages with our parents running around like
Yes.
between our schedules, and we all had different schedules and none of us wanted to ride the bus home. So
And
Or
then you
mayor.
also, like, again, it was all of us. So then we also had our brothers who, football, wrestling, baseball, track and field, all kinds of things going on too. So they were all in the mix as well. So our parents were juggling probably 5 kids at the same time, running around to all of these sports.
Oh, my very first day of gymnastics, very first day. I'm 8 years old. I get dropped off at this big, huge gym that I know nobody, but a lot of them seem to know me because, again, mom used to work there. And I'm sitting there after practice, 30 minutes go by. And my coach walks up and she goes, Tawny, is your mom coming? And I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I think so. And she was like, do you want to call her? And I was like, okay, sure. And so she like, gives me the phone to call mom. And mom was at a church activity. She had forgotten me. So an hour later, she picks me up. Like, I'm glad she was doing something for herself, but still, I just thought, like, she's coming, I guess.
oh my gosh. Yeah. I remember one coach threatened, they're like, if your parents do not come pick you up on time, you're off the team. And I was like, Mom, you have to pick me up on time. She never did. And
I
still
also
came.
walked
It was
home
fine.
from the elementary school, which was only a mile away, but it was like 100-degree weather. And I was in 6th grade. I walked home because mom forgot me. I get home and mom goes, oh no. It's a little like
Other than that, our
here.
parents are superstars.
She was making dinner for the rest of the family. I was only a mile down the road. So.
By the time it was Tawny, mom's like, she knows the drill. She'll figure it out.
Number 6 of 7. Somebody
Yeah.
will make sure I get home. It's fine. No, I did get a ride from a family friend down the street. And her daughter walked out and was like, Tawny, do you need a ride home? And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
No, that was only 2 times out of the years and years of sports. So
That's nice
2
because
times.
when I was in 8th grade, mom forgot me every single, like, the early out days. Mom forgot me every single time, every single week.
I walked home from middle school once. I was like, I'm not riding the bus. So I walked.
I know it was only a couple of miles away. I wanted to walk, but mom was like, absolutely not.
Oh, I'm so jealous you guys went to middle school close to home. I was so jealous of that. I was never close to home. I was very jealous.
We could have
that
a whole
middle
other
schools so
discussion
close.
just on our middle schools because I went to both of them. The split middle school.
Tony,
You went to
class. For all
that's
the
crazy
middle school.
because that's crazy because you went to both middle schools and I went to both high schools. That's crazy.
That's true. That's
I went to
true.
2 high schools at the same time.
I know.
Neither of those would be the high school now.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is even crazier. All right. Well, we're all very busy in our growing up years, and I just want to know if there are any sports that you guys are like into playing or that you jump at a chance to play or that you like to enjoy watching. Because for me, I mean, I'll jump at a chance to play volleyball just about any time. That was something we did pretty regularly growing up.
Yeah.
And I love playing volleyball like just for fun, just for fun. I'm not a competitive when it comes to volleyball. But I feel like we also were spent a lot of time like we pretty much watched the Super Bowl every year, even though our dad wasn't as much into the NFL games.
I was
We
at a
almost always had the Super Bowl on, and we pretty much always watched the Olympics. I love the Olympics, and nowadays I'm really into hockey. I got into watching hockey when the Golden Knights became a team, and I have been hooked ever since. And they won the Stanley Cup this year, and it was amazing. So I just want to put in a plug for that. But how about you guys? Are there any that you like to watch or play?
I mean, I do still enjoy playing volleyball when I get the chance, of course. Racquetball's fun, but I don't do that very often. Snowboarding, gotten
Oh.
into. I've snowboarded a couple times and I'm terrible at it, but I enjoy trying after I, have my little crying fit because I have no idea what I'm doing and it's scary. And then I'm good. Otherwise, I have been watching a lot of gymnastics, of course, because Simone Biles is just, oh my gosh, she is so incredibly talented, and I'm
so glad she's coming back. I'm so glad she's doing a comeback. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh, I've been watching so many of her routines lately, and she's incredible. She just flies. It really just blows my mind. But other than that, it's just been baseball. I've been going to a lot of baseball games because that's what Aaron is really into. He played baseball growing up, and he still likes to play like softball teams recreationally. So we go to a lot of baseball because Georgia Braves.
I mean, I got into racquetball in college. I had a friend who taught me, and then when I started working, I had a couple of coworkers, and we would go play racquetball on our lunch break. But I don't know. I'm pretty sportless these days. I thought I would get a lot more into hockey since moving up to Michigan, but so far I haven't.
Tara and I got into boxing though, and that was a really, I don't know, it was like bucket list kind thing.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Teddy, I called up a boxing place here and I was like, hey, I was going to come check out your place. And they're like, oh, do you have prior boxing? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, where at? And I was like, oh, title boxing. They're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Trained by legits. Okay. I'm good by myself.
Yeah, no. So that was kind of a more recent sport that you and I have done. But I always I don't hop at the chance. I create the chance by guilting my friends into playing tennis with me.
Nice.
Yeah, so I play tennis not as often as I'd like or need to.
Well, with them changing all of the tennis courts to pickleball, like it's kind of hard to find close ones now.
I still have never played pickleball, even though that is like the state sport of Utah. And but the thing is, everyone's like, it's so much fun, we should play it. And then anytime you pass any pickleball court, there's like 50 billion people there, playing or waiting. And so I'm like, why would I try and play if I'm never going to get a chance to because everyone else.
No, they actually say, because my racquetball buddy, he got converted to pickleball. And he keeps trying to tell me to join pickleball. And he's like, honestly, just go to a court and they're always so welcoming. You can just jump in and it'll be fine.
It feels like it's giving elementary recess and I have to count the person on the swings to get
trauma.
Like,
the person on the swings.
What's the thing that you used to count on the swings?
Yes.
I say we bring
you have to repeat this little chant in order for them not
what
to
was
be
that?
To count
That
on
was
you.
terrible. Kids are awful. Man.
1, 2, 3, don't count on me, or something like that.
Oh yeah, you'd have to like scream that while you're swinging. 1, 2, 3, don't count on me. Yikes.
It's like I look at the super full pickleball, like 5, 10 courts, and then like 3 courts of tennis, just
with like
empty.
one person.
There's
Playing
like a
by the-
tumbleweed like going across it.
A ball bouncing.
And
A
I'm like,
pickleball bouncing.
yes.
the pickleball gets over there, and everybody's like, "Don't go that way." Red zone, no man's land.
But yeah, I do enjoy watching and playing tennis still. And I haven't played basketball in a while. I played a little bit of ultimate frisbee after like in college during that time. And now I watch a lot of rugby because I have to.
A lot of rugby because and he's like, "Rugby is my identity."
It's fun. It's fun. And it's fun because it's not like a very popular US sport. And so whenever, you tough. So it's cool that I know more than most citizens of the United States about rugby. So that's something that I hold.
Am I just better than everyone?
It's just like, yes, let me tell you about the hooker in the back.
I
So
also
when you
need
ever
to amend my previous it's Atlanta Braves. Aaron would kill me if he knew that I said Georgia Braves. It's Atlanta Braves, okay?
Okay.
No, that's
Okay.
fine.
Scratch that from the record.
isn't Atlanta in Georgia though?
You know, I asked him the other day. I said, what football game is on?" And he goes, "Georgia." And I was like, "They're both Georgia." And he was like, "Georgia, not Atlanta, Georgia." And I was like, "Okay." Braves or Falcons? Like, which one does that mean? I mean, not Braves. Bulldogs or Falcons? Which one is it? There's a difference. Okay, I didn't know that. Now I do.
So a lot of the
For goodness
time,
sake.
sports are wonderful things. They teach you discipline, and I'm pretty sure a lot of time our parents kept us in sports to keep us out of trouble. So
100.
I want to talk about the things that we did get in trouble for when we were growing up. I want to hear the story of the weirdest thing you were grounded for.
Me.
You're on.
Couple things. One of the first when, I was a kid was reading. I would get grounded for reading too much. So, because, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this already, because I would read more than I would do homework, chores, socializing. And so, when parents say, "Go to your room," I'd be like, "Gladly," because my book is calling my name. So I would get grounded to spending time with the family. So I would have to put my books down until, whatever was done. But the other one, I was terrible with certain math things, and negative numbers just get me, okay? I am sorry, but if you ask me to a negative minus a negative, I don't know what that is. Is it a positive? Is it not? It throws me off. I can't do it. I still can't do it. Mental breakdown. Okay. So one time I'm doing homework and Dad is trying to walk me through it, and he's like, "What's this and this?" And I was like, "I don't know. That's why I'm asking." And he's like, "Well, Tawny, if you just spell out, you got this, this, and this. Like, how does that translate?" And I was like, "I don't know." And so I'm crying, and he's mad. Neither of us are figuring it out together. And so he goes, "Tawny, you're grounded." And I was like, why am I grounded? So it wasn't actual grounding. He was just mad.
He's like, "I just need a break from this, from homework. You're grounded from homework,
Grounded
from
from my
asking me homework questions."
And I cried even more because I was like, "I'm so stupid that my dad just grounded me for being stupid."
No, that would be awful.
Luckily, that's not the case. We were both just tired.
Always tired because you're coming home from a full day of school, from sports. You have to shower, eat, and then you have time for homework, and it's like 10 o'clock at night, and everybody's tired.
Yep.
Misery.
Yep.
Did you ever do math homework with Dad, Tony?
Oh yeah. Of course I did. We all did.
I
The only
never did.
person what? You did
You
it?
never did? You're joking.
No, I'm serious. I never did math homework with Dad because he would always be at the table with like Tara or with Tony.
With one of
and I-
us. We took over.
And so
And
I
he's
would
like just
go.
listening along. She's like, "Oh,
I
that will
will
work
say-
even."
I don't think that I did math homework with Dad after like maybe my freshman or sophomore year of high school. So,
Because she was doing my math homework.
well, because then I was teaching myself trigonometry out of the book.
Oh, that was the worst. Having to teach myself math out of the textbooks because my teachers were just awful. Some of them, not all of them. But yeah, terrible. And now my degree is math. Well, it's accounting, but it's different math.
Which your degree is the kind of math that I couldn't do. I had the hardest time like converting decimals for anything. I don't know what it
Really?
was. Like fractions and decimals, like I could not. It took me years to figure out how to like convert percentages.
You
Like
didn't watch enough Cyber Chase, it sounds like.
Yep.
'Cause that's how I learned.
Cyber Chase.
It was too late for me. Cyber
everything I
Chase
need
came
to
out when I was like
know.
in high school.
Yeah, that's impressive that you never had to ask Dad for help. You are better than everybody.
Yes. I know the meaning of X, everyone.
Did you ever find it? Because I didn't always.
X tries to find the meaning of me.
And he's like, I am imaginary I.
No, I remember having to do math homework from Dad with Dad because without fail, every single time, Dad would remind me how Daniel was the only person he never had to deal with this with. So
I won't say he didn't pay my physics teacher off to give me a passing grade, but I passed.
he did not, just
failing.
so everybody is clear.
There was a deal that was struck.
I cannot confirm nor deny how I passed.
A deal was struck and an envelope was passed between hands.
I got grounded from reading books, but I would always get around that because Mom would take my book because she couldn't just tell me not to read the book because I would still read the book. So she would take my book and she would hide it, and the moment she was out of the house, I would go and find it. And then I would proudly display it whenever she walked back in. So, yeah, Mom and I had quite the battle over books and grounding for books. But I honestly don't think I was ever grounded for anything weird. I will say that most of my groundings were justified. So
Yeah, okay, I may have deserved that.
The weirdest thing I got grounded for was one of your friend's mom saw me speeding in my Mustang down 41. Yeah. Well, yeah. And she called our mom being like, I just saw your daughter speeding down the road. And my mom had to tell her she would ground me for it. And I was like 16 or 17. And I rarely got grounded. And then the fact that I come home and my mom's like, I heard you were speeding. And I was like, how in the world? And like, how in the world
remember
would
that day.
someone even know it was me? If I was speeding fast enough, you shouldn't be able to tell it's me, right?
It was my friend's mom.
Paddled on by an adult woman for a teenage
That
speedway.
particular adult woman really had it out for you, though.
Well, I
She
wonder,
did.
I wonder if my friend was with her because she was always on Mom about different things that you were doing, like dyeing your hair one time. I think she got mad about because
In
my
college.
friend was very
In college.
impressionable as far as that. And I mean, like, obviously we all were, but I think that was one thing too, is because she was like, oh, Tawny has a big sister and my daughter's the oldest and she wants a big sister. So it's probably a lot of that.
Yeah, for sure. And mom definitely came down on me for that. She's like, I know you're speeding. And I was like, and it's 41. Like the speed limit's pretty high. So I was probably going like 8 over. That's it. Not bad.
We all know we all kind of have lead feet in this family, Tara. Come on now.
Well, no, the thing is, I have
and
a
our
reason for
mother's to
this.
blame for it. So
I have a reason for this. Because the odometer on a Mustang is different from the odometer on a truck. Okay. Turns out because trucks can't go as fast. So the speed limit on a truck is 10 lower than the speed limit on the Mustang. And I used visual rather than reading the numbers. And I just remembered where the ticker hit on the odometer. And that's where I knew Yeah, Dad told me it was okay to go to. Not realizing that the truck was 10 miles an hour or 20 slower than my Mustang. So that, girl math.
Girl math. Girl math. It's the same spot. Like
That's what my dad. The officer, my dad told me it was okay to drive right here.
I stuck to where he said it should hit the odometer.
Tara can't read clocks either, so it checks out.
The digital one? No, I'm kidding.
I don't know what the weirdest thing was that I got grounded for. I think that
I don't really remember you really getting grounded very often, Teddy. In fact, I would get mad because you got away with a lot that I would get grounded for. You would do it, and then I would do it, and I'd get grounded. It was not fair.
I don't remember any of that.
That's because you never knew. I got grounded.
I think the thing that I got grounded for the most was just going to the train tracks, but that was usually like a group grounding. So
Yeah.
Like I was never singled out for grounding. I was just part of the conspiracy.
I think I got mom and dad in trouble more than I got myself in trouble as like a child. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. Just yeah, like putting my hand on the wheel of the truck ranger and then the cops showing up at our door.
Somebody said a child was driving.
Because they were pissed that dad passed them. So calling 911, yeah, that also happened. Driving the van into the garage.
Your ankles.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't get grounded for that, though. Did I get grounded for that? You were
did,
the most
and you were
annoying.
so mad because
You were
Bonnie's fault.
Yeah, it was your fault. I did get grounded for that because you pretended that it hurt your ankle. Or no, your neck. You pretended that your neck got injured.
Tall enough to pick me off the lamp. Of course, it probably hurt my neck. Probably dropped on it a couple times before actually.
Daddy's like, you're a gymnast. Your neck strength should be better than that.
No, what happened was I was sitting on the couch in the morning before school, and I looked at Tawny because I knew she was going to sit on the couch as soon as I left. And I looked at her and I was like, don't take my spot. And I got up to go do whatever I was going to do. I come back, Tawny's like laying across the couch just with this stupid grin on her face. I was like, Tawny, get off. And you're like, no. And so then I got on the couch and I grabbed your ankles and I hung you upside down. And then I remember because my impulse was to just drop you right there. But I remember restraining myself and very gently laying you down on the ground. And then you're like, and then mom was like, you're grounded. So,
yes, I'm sure that's exactly how it went.
Definitely siblings who got grounded more than other siblings, for sure.
Yes.
yeah.
There definitely were.
Like when
We
Tawny
all
and Dallas-
know. We all know.
Tawny and Dallas. Tawny, when you and Dallas got in trouble for being out of bed, and I was faster than you guys.
Yes, Dallas and I had climbed out of bed and we both wanted to sleep on mom and dad's couch, right? But we were both wide awake. And so we're both like, okay, you sleep on mom, dad's couch and I'll sleep on our couch in the living room instead. And so then Dallas and I are trying to sneak around waiting for them to go to bed so that one of us can sneak in. And so we like kicked a chair at one point and we're giggling, of course. And mom and dad just come out of the room enraged that we were out of bed. And we had to turn and face the wall with our arms above our heads. Okay.
But Tawny, you guys woke me up to tell me to come out to the living room with you. And like I thought dad was like sleeping in the chair or something in the living room. And then like we were all giggling. And then he wakes up, he stirs, and we all go running. And I jump in the bed, pretend I'm asleep, and you two got caught. And then you had to like,
Yeah.
face the wall.
And Dallas got to go to bed before me. That was all his idea. It's fine. I don't hold that resentment anymore. It's cool.
But this has been another episode of Wild&T with Tara, Tony, Teddy, and Tawny. Remember that if you keep it funny, that you won't get in trouble as much. All right, we'll see you later. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Love you,
Bye.
bye. Thank you for listening to Wild&T. This podcast episode was produced and edited by Teddy Chanboon, Kyron Maciel, and Dallas Hanson. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, and of course, share with your sisters. For more content, you can follow Wild&T on all platforms or our individual socials. See you next week.